I think my story started, when I bunked my classes. And today I'll talk about something different because when we started Goonj, the basic parameter was that we wanted to start because we thought that why do we support people at the time of disasters when half the world does not need a disaster? It's already in that state. My role today is to demystify disasters, to add a lot of things in the disaster, to clear a lot of fundas in the disaster. I was a student of mass communication, very keen on photography myself, from a middle class family, could only afford very small box cameras. 1991, a major earthquake happened in Uttarakhand, in Uttarkashi. I was there with that small camera. I see a man who is wrapped around in a tattered, shattered jacket. And the jacket is made of old gunny bags. Uttarakhand, you have a lot of potatoes. For packing that, they use a gunny sack. He had a chit in his hand. Only one thing he was asking again and again. He was saying, give me a woolen, I'll die. Give me a blanket, I'll die. I could never understand that why this person is not asking for food. Where is this person going to stay? I could never imagine that. I was a student. I had no resource. Came back. When the light was over, I suddenly remembered that, now the photography part is over. I have to sleep somewhere. I entered in a relief camp. They just showed me a pile of blankets and said that take whatever number you want and sleep. That particular night, I realized what is cold all about. Why this person was insisting on a blanket or on a woolen. This person. I came back. One fine morning, I was roaming around on the roads of Old Delhi. Suddenly see this rickshaw and this person. It says Lavaris Lash Uthane Wala, which means a person who picks up unclaimed dead bodies. Followed him. And then spent about a week with him. Early morning, I used to be there at the footpath with him outside LNJP hospital. And in the late evening, I used to come back. Habib Bhai's full-time job was to pick up unclaimed, abandoned dead bodies. While talking to him, he gave two statements. And for every dead body, he was paid 20 rupees and 2 meters of white cloth in those days. The first statement which came from Habib Bhai, he said that in winters my work goes up many times. I have so much of work that I cannot handle it. To my utter surprise, in the range of 3 to 4 kilometers where he was able to take his rickshaw, he was picking up 10 to 12 dead bodies every 24 hours. In the summers, the average used to be 4 to 5. He had a little daughter, Kaneez Bano, who is a grown-up girl and now has children, who gave the most shocking statement in Hindi when she said कि जब मुझे ठंड लगती है तो मैं लाश के साथ चिपक कर सो जाती. लाश तंग नहीं करती, लाश करवट नहीं बदलती. When I feel cold, I hug the dead body and sleep. It does not trouble me. It does not turn around. Just because we never considered winter's a disaster. Just because we always spoke about three basic needs of humankind, food, cloth, and shelter, but whenever we spoke about development issues across the globe, we found 150 issues from domestic violence to global warming. We never found clothing written as a subject. That's the disaster. That's a gap. That's what we do. We try to identify these undefined disaster from cold. And the fact remains that in earthquake, the shake kills people. In the flood or now the tsunami, the excess, the force of water kills people. In winters, the cold does not kill people, because if the cold kills people, even I would have died. I survive, someone else dies on the road. It's not the cold, it is the lack of clothing. It's a highly preventable death. Just because we ignore such disasters, the fires all across the country in the slums, the floods, in the eastern and the northeast part of the country, which has literally become a ritual because we never even speak about it. Millions of people suffer every year, and it does not get even 2 minutes on the mainstream media. This is about destruction. Every disaster comes with that, which is the visible destruction, and this is the invisible destruction. Often we hurry up, we say relief has to be over as early as possible. But tell me one thing, look at these two scenarios. There is material, there is no customer. There is nothing in the shop of the fish. How can we even think of something else when the employment is not revived? Why there is a hurry to move out from the relief portion? It has to be sustained. That's what we have been telling people. Every single disaster is ultimately measured by the number of deaths. Unfortunate that you really need a large number of deaths to be registered as a big disaster. But what about this? Very often you must have seen these pictures. Unplanned, everywhere, massive disasters, and the dumping. The biggest disaster relief material is the old cloth. Please understand, disaster-hit people do not need clothes. Cloth is something which you can only wear one at a time. The second pair of cloth you have to store. First thing which a disaster takes away from you is your storage capacity. So even the second pair of cloth is a burden. Cloth is also a very personal issue. The biggest problem is so-called donation. You give what you have, you do not give what people need. Talk about Indian women clothing today. It's ladies' suits, it's jeans, it's t-shirts. Talk about rural India, sarees, blouse, petticoat, or the traditional dress. Talk about Indian male like me today, we are 32 to 40. Indian rural male is still 26 to 30. It's size, shape, culture, geography, religion, so many issues to tackle. And then only it can be utilized at the particular place. That's what we do in our work, which I'll come later. This is all about donation, another D of disasters. Thousands of people participate in such campaigns, give a lot of beautiful stuff with a whole lot of heart, and hundreds of people also use this as an opportunity to clear whatever they have. And that's where the dignity matters. It might be donor's pride, I don't know, but what about the receiver's dignity at the end of the day? We all are double-minded at the time of disasters. It is all about quality versus quantity. Do we want to give torches worth rupees 10 to 5,000 people because we want numbers in all our reports everywhere? Or we really want to reach out to the people with something which is very important, which can live long? Lot of people with lot of affection, lot of give, lot of perishable items, cooked food, which certainly becomes a big mass at the time of disasters. What we have done, we have tried to reach as far as possible. We have really made it a detailed process where it has to match the needs of the people. That's the first thing which any disaster needs. A very process-oriented where you even have coding, where anybody can find out what is needed, what is not needed. And the best part is, it is all about dignity, because when you talk about Indian villagers, when you talk about Indian people, the biggest asset of village India is their self-respect, is their dignity. You do not find beggars in the villages. Begging is a city phenomena. So all our work needs to happen in a direction where we keep the dignity intact. A very beautiful initiative is called Cloth for Work, where people take up development activities. So if you see this woman who is trying to make a wood bridge on her own, then the entire village participates in that. And after making this, they literally earn the relief material. So it does not remain a relief material. It is actually dignified. The relief is dignified in the process. One important part, this is just another D of the disasters. While working on the issue of clothing, 2004-5, we raised a very basic issue. We said that every single woman across the globe needs a piece of cloth, which is now called a sanitary pad. In a country where half the country does not have enough to wear, from where and how this woman is bringing this piece of cloth? 2004, 2005, you go on Google, you type sanitary pad, sanitary napkin, you find the best tampons and cups from all across the globe. Not even a single major research in India, no problem statement, no solution. We started traveling across the country to find out what is the issue. And what we found, they use the dirtiest piece of cloth because for them it's a synonym of dirt. They wash it, they cannot dry it in sunlight because of obvious reasons. If you have 2 to 3 women in the family, their cycles are different, they're sharing the same piece of cloth. And today we know that the largest number of uterus removal happens just because of this small piece of cloth. Disaster. This is one of the most critical gap. Because the only thing which you lose in a major way is not only your belongings, but also a roof. We work on it. We try to make sure that it becomes a part of awareness at the time of disaster where people understand the importance of this issue. A small piece of cloth, people often call it a women issue. People often use it as a product or call it a product. And to be honest, when we started making this, a lot of people came and spoke about medical standards, spoke about ISO, spoke about so many big jargons. The only thing which we said, it might be a women issue for you, it might be a product for you. For us, it's about human. For us, it's about dignity. Thank you very much.